Okay, hello, welcome everyone. My name is Abbesi Akhamie, and I am here with writer-director Damilola Orimogunje. And this is a conversation on the film for Maria Ebun Pataki, which is screening as part of the 29th New York African Film Festival. Thank you all so much for joining us. And thank you, Dami, for being here with us. So please let everybody know, where are you right now?
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Abbesi, for the introduction. My name is Damilola Orimogunje, and I'm currently in Lagos, Nigeria.
Okay. And if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, so we know that you're a writer, director, and producer. Anything else we should know before we get into the interview on your film?
That pretty much explains who I am. I'm a filmmaker, a creative, most likely a commercial artist, write, direct, and produce film. I'm the director of Maria Ebun Pataki, a good film, I think. So yeah, that's pretty much about me.
And you've done some shorts in the past, writing on different projects, producing. So he's being very modest, but thank you. So, let's get into the film. Thank you so much for making such a beautiful, lovely film. I was moved, and I was wondering, who is this person after first seeing it? So this is the first time I've seen your work.
Yeah.
So the question that's on everybody's mind is probably, what inspired you to make a film like this, such a personal family topic, but also universal at the same time?
Thank you for the compliment. I think personally, as a filmmaker, I've always loved to touch human stories, so societal issues, stories that basically resonate with people in society, in Nigeria, African space, or just the world at large. And so my previous project, my short films, have dwelled on projects on subject matters like that. So when I was about to make my debut feature film, I had this ambitious script, to make, and then it was in development for like a long period of time, actually because of funding. And sometimes I just thought to myself, let me make something more intimate, something smaller, because I would, which is similar to what I was going to make before, but I just wanted to make something more controlled, and that was when the idea of a family drama came to place. I remember seeing Michael Hanake's Amour, the French film, so many years ago, and I saw the film again recently in 2018, like end of 2018, and I knew I wanted to make something in that light, not exactly the subject matter, but something where, it's set mainly in the house, So I started thinking of stories to explore, then I started having a conversation with a friend one day, and then, we spoke randomly about postpartum depression, and how it affects Nigerian African settings, how people in Nigeria all understand postpartum depression generally, or mental illness generally, and it's, the truth of the matter is abysmal, in terms of how people think about, postpartum or mental illness generally, and it just, from a conversation, it started developing an idea in my mind, about what to make about this, because like I said previously, I love making projects, I love making stories, that touches the human experience, and then basically what most times we don't talk about, And I just randomly on Twitter space in Nigeria, I saw a thread of women talking about postpartum depression, and then their experience giving birth, new mothers. And then I'm a man, there's no way I would be totally I understand it more than a woman, but just that thread basically opened my eye to like how much a new mother actually suffers, in terms of in getting back to society, and then being loved by society, and then they're born with the child, it was just like a lot of spectrum, and it was just very exciting to me. And I'm talking about experience of how they see themselves, as new mothers, especially first-time mothers, where you've heard so much about this is what it is like, to be a mother, but you don't know exactly until you actually be one, So, I mean, hearing experiences and, reading basically people's experiences in that light was an eye-opener, basically, because you just have like people really opening their mind, talking about how the society judges them, how the family treats them, how the baby treats them, how they treat the baby. It's like it's and all these elements you find in the film. So it was really from the inspiration I got from like all the different mothers I'd read about or I'd spoken to. In basically while we're developing the story. So, but the Twitter thread and then the conversation with my friend in early 2019 basically just inspired the idea of making the film.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's amazing. I kind of see your investigative journalism background coming through.
Right.
So it's a real topic and something that people experience today. So, the investigativeness of that and talking to different people is really nice and comes through in the film. And just in touching on that, just bringing in all of the elements, and I was thinking about the languages that are spoken in the film. And I love the way that it's a mix of English and Yoruba. So I know that you're also Yoruba as well too. And I wonder, was that something that you knew you wanted to do when you set out to make the film, that you wanted to have these two different languages? And for me, it gives like just an authentic quality. But I wonder for you, as far as directing on set and writing this, how are you thinking?
So the truth of the matter is, the film was set in an average Nigerian home, and if you come to Nigeria now, you realize that most average homes, they speak their dialect, especially when they are having conversations with themselves. Only probably maybe you are somewhere outside, that's when you switch to English. Even most times, people still go out, in the supermarket, you see them yelling their dialects, which basically makes it more intimate, and then it's just more relatable that way. So when I set out to make this film, I knew that my characters are not in a way, the conventional Nollywood characters, the rich, flamboyant characters. They are discultured, simple home, like people can relate to it, basically. And of course, the best way to actually to navigate that and then to represent them very well is actually have them speak the dialect. If you notice in the film, the first act of the film was almost purely Yoruba. But when the mother-in-law left, it's time, that's when you start having like the English part actually coming out, because most times you have like the newer generation actually speak English to themselves. Like for example, in my home, I speak Yoruba to my mom, but if I meet, let's say, a fellow Yoruba person, and a lady, we'll probably switch it up. Most of them I'll probably even just speak English to them because maybe, I don't know, but for the older generation, you just speak more of the dialect. So, I mean, it was just that relatable, And fun fact, the film was originally set to be made in Igbo language. And I mean, for some weird reason, I just wanted, Igbo instead of Yoruba, And
you speak
the reason why I don't. And that's the funny thing. I actually don't, but I like the sound of it, and I mean, I'd made a project with Yoruba, I've made projects in like other Nigerian languages. I just wanted Igbo at that point. But the actor Afolabi, who eventually, I mean, name wasn't Afolabi before. Was supposed to be an Igbo character. And then we had an issue, not an issue, but the casting was just like we couldn't get the actual actor we wanted. So we had to switch it up. Switch it up to Gabriel Afolayan, who I think was terrific, and then I felt like the role was actually meant for him. I can't say that person playing the role, And then because Gabriel is Yoruba, and then I still wanted the originality, so I just switched it back to Yoruba, which was a very good decision. I think it was a very good decision.
Nicely done. I mean, it was Very well done. And I like I was saying earlier, I think that there's just universality in the story, for women, for men, everyone watching the film. And so it doesn't necessarily matter which language the film is in, but the fact that it's in Yoruba, it just gives this authenticity, this feeling that is kind of like indescribable. So yes, thank you for that. I want to talk about how it was shooting in Lagos. So what was your experience like? You had said earlier that it was very contained, which I think was to your benefit. But what sorts of things did you run into? For audiences that are familiar with Nollywood, we're used to the glamour, I guess, of shooting. So what was your experience like?
So I think filming in Lagos is the actual ghetto. I mean, if you film in Lagos, so the funny thing is, currently now there's this new word, or should I say there's this new what's the word now? Like it's like okay, anyway. So in Nollywood now, people that film, like, generally, they tell you film, don't talk. So basically it means the film is now difficult. So everybody says that on set now. What it means basically is when you're shooting in Lagos and then there are like issues bombarding you, and then issues that you probably did not even envisage coming. Everybody just go, people don't talk, and it's to tell you that filming in Lagos is actually really, really difficult, especially when you're shooting exterior scenes, because firstly, people see you with camera, they're like, Nollywood, okay, let's tax them. Nollywood, let's disturb the life out of them, and the issues you just encounter, when you're filming. And like I said, one of the reasons why the film was really set interior wise was because I knew what I was working with. I wanted it so contained, because I was also producing the project as well. So the exterior scenes you have, probably like the hospital scenes, which were actually the Lagos issue, which I actually encountered. So I think a very quick one that I would probably want to talk about, like an experience shooting Lagos was, I remember we recce the hospital months before. We had conversations, about where exactly we wanted to use the theater, the rooms, we mapped them out. We had our production designer work on them, and, we're ready to go, only for us to get to the hospital the day we're supposed to film. And then the doctors came and then they said, so what is in labor in one of the rooms that I wanted to use, and what that means is I can't shoot there. It's supposed to be understandable, but for me as a filmmaker, because I love to get what I want, so it's not really understandable to me because I'm like, okay, she wants to give birth, but I'm about to do something very important right now too. But fortunately, we couldn't get to use that room because even if we wanted to, we had a woman who was yelling, at probably every 5 seconds, so all the time we went to recce to plan and do everything, nobody came to give birth. Nobody came to warn us. It was when we went to shoot, we had like people in labor. It was funny. Thinking about it now is actually very funny, but that day wasn't, because I remember my assistant director asking me, can I use somewhere else? And still in the setting, but I just said, no, I don't want to use somewhere else. I want to use there. It was a very funny conversation. And those are things you get, when you're filming in a place like, Lagos, where normally you probably just use a studio, where you have like the hospital and then no problem, right? But when you are containing funds, sometimes you have to use like real life locations and then they come with their problems, and then there's sound issues, you have like, you're filming, you have somebody screaming on the streets, somebody putting on their generator. It's just crazy. It's the actual ghetto, but kudos to everybody filming in Lagos because we still find a way to get through that and then still make good work.
I can't imagine. I haven't filmed in Lagos, so So I can imagine, yeah, the sound issues. And so this is a huge triumph, storytelling wise, production wise, just so everybody knows. So you are the ND of indie filmmaking in Nollywood. A small budget.
So they say.
And wow, that's amazing. So also too, so my next question, let's see how we are in time. Yeah. I wanted to talk about what would be your most cherished moment from the film. It could be during the development process, pre-production, production, post-production, any moment that you can remember that you were just, you know, you felt happy. It could have been the film's release. I don't know. It could have been on set, directing. What was that moment?
Honestly, I mean, there are so many moments, you know, that basically just make me feel good as a filmmaker on the projects. Like, I feel like as filmmakers, you know, when you decide to make a film, you know, each time you keep asking yourself, am I making the right decision? I mean, should I have made this film? Should I have not made this film? You know, I mean, these are questions that pop up, you know, in production, even while we're filming, and I'm like, am I making a big mistake? You know, why am I making this film? You know, but I feel like the parts that I would say is actually like good for me is will be the release, of course, you know, and then, you know, the impact of the film in the society on people. So the film was first released in 2020, and so it was released like 2 years ago. And we have currently now we have like a commercial release on Netflix Africa, you know, and the film has been to quite a number of festivals, you know, and then the reception to the film has made me understand more, I mean, particularly more of the reason why I actually made the film in the first place, you know, because I was setting out to just make a film. I wanted the film to be impactful because, I mean, like I said when we started, we barely talk about these things in Africa generally. And I feel like as a filmmaker, I have like a big medium, a big tool to actually ensure that people talk about these things. You know, even if I can, you know, if I can't go, you know, to all TV stations and start screaming, let's talk about postpartum depression, let's talk about mental illness, you know, but I can't do that by exploring it in film and let people watch it, immerse themselves in this story, and then talk about it. And I think over the years we've had this conversation. You know, presently now, I mean, the film got released on Netflix in January this year, and the conversation has been amazing. You know, like literally everyone talks about it. You know, talk about postpartum depression. It trended on Twitter, so I mean, that's the essence for me. You know, not even particularly the film trending, but basically the subject matter trending. People having conversation about these things, you know, about postpartum depression, about stigmatization, you know. So I feel like that's basically for me, you know, it's impactful and it's impactful to me as a filmmaker, which is good memory for me.
So you would do this all over again? The shooting, everything?
I mean, you probably think I'm stupid, I'm crazy about it over again.
I figured so. I think, yes, it's the impact, I think, for filmmakers. Once that happens and you can see what it is, you're willing to go through the experience of a woman being in labor, you losing your location and losing your hair, your just your money, all for the joy of the impact, which is really beautiful. And I want to ask you the last question, $1 million question. So thank you so much for the film. What's next for you?
Yeah, that's the question I've been getting a lot of, you know, what's next for you? Currently, I'm developing 2 projects. I'm developing a short film and I'm developing a feature film, my sophomore feature film, you know.
Mm-hmm. Of course, you're not going to go into details about it.
Do you want me to go into details?
No, you don't.
I mean, yeah, I mean, they're basically still in like early development, and they are beautiful projects, you know. Looking at shooting the short film this year and then the feature film sometime next year.
Wonderful. Well, wishing you the best of luck. And how can we keep in touch with you? How can we support you? Where can we find you?
Um, um, I'm on social media. I mean, I feel like, this time and space, that's like the easiest way to network. It's Damilola Orimogunje on LinkedIn. It's Dami Orimogunje on Instagram, on Twitter, and yeah, pretty much.
Wonderful.
But yeah, so you can always reach out to me. I'm cool. I mean, we can work on projects or whatnot.
Okay, so everyone, you heard it from him. Please support this lovely filmmaker so he can continue making more work. Thank you so much and have a wonderful. Thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you, Derin.
Thank you so much, Abbesi, for this as well. It's been exciting, and thank you very much for watching the film. I mean, I appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, New York African Film Festival. Thank you too. So
yes.